Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Richardson. I'm the founder of Elephant Energy. We are a home electrification company that was started back in 2021. I started with a good friend of mine, Josh Lake. We're on a mission to help homeowners make high-impact, sustainable choices in their lives. Many climate solutions focus on small, everyday swaps. We wanted to zero in on the things that really move the needle. How we heat our homes, how we heat the water in our homes, how we power the cars that we drive. And so in the U.S., right, 20% of total greenhouse emissions are directly attributed to residential energy use, heating, cooling, powering our house, right? So we launched in Boston in 2023 because Boston's been ahead of the curve when it comes to sustainability. The state leaders have long recognized the power of building electrification. It's one of the most important levers that we have for climate change. Boston ranks as one of the most sustainable cities in the U.S. Massachusetts has long shown a commitment to reducing its carbon footprint. The Massachusetts Mass Save program has really done a lot to help accelerate building electrification. My co-founder and I actually met here in Boston. Our first jobs out of college back in too long ago at this point. Another good example, Mayor Michelle Wu recently introduced a new $150 million initiative called the Boston Energy Saver Program that's set to fuel the adoption of heat pumps and other energy efficiency measures, with the goal of installing 5,000 heat pumps and weatherizing 10,000 buildings over the next 3 years by leveraging Mass Save funds. So burning fossil fuels to heat and cool our homes is what we've always done. And I think at some point in the future, we're going to look back and think it's wild that we're literally still burning fires in our homes for heating. It's what the cavemen did. I'm not sure why we're still doing it that way today. And we know there's a better way, right? We know that heat pumps work. We know that that electrification future is inevitable. But it's hard. Right? It's not easy. For anyone who's tried to get a heat pump, you know it's complicated. It can be challenging to find the right partner. We've got a lot of big headwinds right now, not just with the process of electrifying, but with the current administration, as other panelists have been talking about earlier today. It's going to take a village to overcome these challenges, but we're up for this challenge. We know that others in this room and on this panel are doing their part to tackle these challenges as well. Elephant, at the end of the day, is an easy button for electrification. That's why we exist. We want to exist to make electrification accessible and affordable. So we leverage building science expertise, proprietary sizing technology to help homeowners confidently upgrade their current household appliances to more energy efficient options, whether that's a heat pump water heater, induction stove, EV charger. We take all the guesswork out of what can be a confusing process by handling everything from assessments to installation to equipment servicing and rebate procurement. By streamlining things and ensuring that financial incentives align with sustainability, we know we can make heat pumps and other electrification solutions accessible to a much wider audience. Everyone should be able to participate in the energy transition. So we're proud to support this really important work and the important conversations that are happening today, and to partner with the Boston Globe for this year's Sustainability Summit. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Catherine, who's going to introduce the rest of the panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. As they said, my name is Catherine Carlock. I'm the real estate reporter for the Boston Globe. With me today, we have a really exciting panel of experts about how to make your home more sustainable. So there's a lot that we'll be getting into, but I do want to draw folks' attention. I'm sure you've gotten used to the drill, but at some point there will be the QR code. So if you have questions for our experts, definitely let us know. That'll come to this handy-dandy little iPad, and then we can get going. But I would love to, let's get started with having our panelists introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we can get going. So Matt, let's start with you.
Okay, I'm one of two Matts. Hi, I'm Matt Tuttleman. I asked myself, what if my home could defy the grid, save myself thousands, and let me live sustainably on my terms? So I've been working in demand-side energy management for about 20 years. I'm a senior account executive for a company called C Power Energy, and we do demand response and virtual power plants. And I've been just on a personal mission. I've been transforming my 1955 Cape into a net zero microgrid, chasing a fully electrified existence. We put in solar, a home battery, and a geothermal heat pump system to replace older, outdated systems. And, here in Massachusetts, where energy costs are some of the highest in the nation, these efforts have helped me keep more of my hard-earned money. And I'd like to help anyone that wants to know how I can show you how to do the same thing.
Awesome. Kristen?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen Simmons. I am the Residential Decarbonization Program Lead in the Mayor's Office of Housing in the great city of Boston. My focus is on helping Boston move towards a more sustainable and equitable future. We've heard just recently, Mayor Wu announced the Boston Energy Saver program, which will launch this fall and highlights the city's commitment to sustainability. And my job is about making that commitment a reality. So what I do in the Mayor's Office of Housing is to develop and implement programs that help constituents reduce their utility bills, save energy and carbon, and make their homes healthier. I'm talking about programs like the Boston Home Center's HomeWorks Green Loan Program, Boston's really exciting Healthy and Green retrofit pilot for 2 to 4 unit buildings, and our large building energy retrofits pilot. So these aren't just programs on paper. They're strategic initiatives designed to directly benefit homeowners and residents, and maybe even more importantly, help us build a model for how we can scale up retrofits in the city of Boston, which is crucial for meeting Boston's sustainability goals.
Last but not least, Matt.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm the other Matt. My name is Matt Root. I work for Materially Better. We are a consultant on materials selection to design and construction teams. So, if you look around this room, you see there's paint on the steel, there's this beautiful wood ceiling, there's the acoustic insulation behind that ceiling there. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of decisions about which products are selected on every job. And our role on projects is to consult from a variety of different materials perspectives or sustainability perspectives. Typically, we focus on health, but more and more folks are asking about embodied carbon and water usage and other sustainability attributes.
Awesome. Okay. So we've got Matt, we've got expertise on the practical product side, the real life know-how side, the policy side. So really going to try to make this kind of a 360 conversation. But I guess I'd love to get started with the idea of even saying, decarbonize my home or make that can just be so overwhelming. Like Matt, you just said thousands of choices, thousands of products. I'm curious, Matt, to start with you on the actually okay, I'm going to green my home side of things. What went, not just went into that decision, but where did you start? And how did you not get completely overwhelmed at the even the prospect of how is this going to work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one of the things that I start to try to have conversations with friends and families and neighbors is we really don't think a lot about the appliances in the home. And these devices, by and large, have about a 15-year useful life. What happens, unfortunately, is because we're not thinking about them, once they get past that 15 years, they start to have higher operations and maintenance costs, and they can fail. And the problem is when they fail, they're typically going to fail in the middle of the summer or in the dead of the winter. And as a homeowner, you're then forced to make a decision under duress, right? You're stressed out, you're freezing, you're hot, whatever it is. And so you call the local HVAC contractor. They're going to tell you what they have at the distribution warehouse. You're probably going to pay more than you should in the first place, and you're locking yourself into replacing with like kind, which most likely is fossil, for the next 15-year cycle. So I just started to, when I started to understand that, it allowed me to go and start to do homework proactively, so I understood what the options were in the marketplace. And then by doing that diligence proactively, I then came upon the fact that by having a mass save audit, which you can have every 2 years, right, as part of the construct of the program, have an audit. Well, then, as I looked at replacing the older HVAC systems, I had 2 gas furnaces and 2 air conditioners. They all were past 15 years in life. That allowed me to then unlock a whole bunch of premium products, a geothermal heat pump system, which Mass Save was willing to provide a $15,000 subsidy because I was switching fuel type and getting off altogether. And more importantly, 30% federal tax credits. And then on top of that, the Mass Save Heat Loan Program, which is this 0% interest 7-year loan. And so I'm not saying that air source heat pumps aren't a great option, but because I had time on my side, I was able to get the world-class premium platinum product for really pennies on the dollar. And I did it without any stress. And then the funniest thing about that whole example was, while the heat pumps were being installed, the backup fridge in the basement died and the old dryer died, right? And my wife was like, gotta fix those.
What you're
right?
telling me is that you had 2 freezers, which is like a lot of space. I'm just imagining.
Well, I had it's the beer fridge.
The beer fridge. Okay.
Beer fridge
Okay.
in the basement.
We strive for accuracy here at the club.
Well, 'cause you have the fridge, you get the replacement fridge, the old fridge becomes the beer fridge.
Right.
And then
Of course,
the beer
of course.
fridge dies and you still need the beer fridge.
Of course. But something that you could do without making it overwhelming financially. Like still something expensive, but something that could offset.
But at the end of
cost
the
gap.
day, I have this brand new HVAC system. My air conditioning costs in the summer, because of how much more efficient it is, it went way down. Fuel switching between gas and electric, it's kind of on par. It's very efficient, but cost-wise, it's on par. But at the end of the day, it's a $235 a month payment to pay back the Mass Save loan, which again was at 0% interest. So.
Kristen, is that music to your ears to hear that, like, oh, look at this is possible, and like bring it to the whole city from a policy standpoint?
So from a policy standpoint, and I'm an architect, I've also decarbonized my own home. So this is personal too. We have 64,000 single-family, 2-family, 3-family, 4-family buildings in the city of Boston that need energy retrofitting.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that number?
64,000 1 to 4 unit buildings.
Seems like a lot, Kristen.
It is a lot, and
Yeah.
most of those are over 100 years old, and many of those are. So from my experience, going to homes, talking to people, there's some basic work that needs to be done. Some of these homes have health hazards like mold or lead or asbestos, or I'm going to call it dangerous wiring, knob and tube. And people are really overwhelmed. Landlords are really overwhelmed. So I absolutely agree with Matt. The first thing to do is to make a plan. Assess what you have. Gather information about your home and the age of the equipment in your home. Think about what needs to be replaced in the next 5 years. And then get on the phone and call Mass Save. I am so excited about what is happening this year with Mass Save. So the end of this month, Mass Save is launching an enhanced home energy assessment, and they will be doing some of this work for you when they go out to your home. It will have information about how to decarbonize and when you should think about replacing your water heater, when you should think about replacing these other things, just like Matt said. Mass Save will also have new incentives this year for income-eligible homeowners, moderate-income homeowners, and rental units. Mass Save will be providing some turnkey solutions to installing heat pumps. So if you want to get heat pumps, Mass Save will help put a contractor in your home to do this work for you. There are some eligibility requirements, but it's there and it will make it easier for people to do this work. But the reality is we still have a lot of people who actually need to weatherize their home. So when I'm thinking about a home and I'm thinking about energy and I'm thinking about health, the first thing that I want to do is take care of the outside. The walls in your roof of your home are like a coat. It keeps you warm in the winter, it keeps you cool in summer. And many homes in Boston and many other cities in the Commonwealth have not done some of this basic work. So Mass Save will do this at either no cost or at a 25% cost, depending upon your eligibility. So do that first. And what is the benefit? So not only are you decarbonizing, but if your home's not insulated and you add insulation, your heat bill is going to go down by 20%.
You mean it's not a good idea to just put the sticky wrap against my window and blow it dry with a hairdryer, like my first landlord taught me how to do?
You might want to do that too, but have Mass Save come out. They'll do an assessment. You can share that with your landlord, and if you're in a small rental building, a 2 or 3 family building, chances are Mass Save will do this for free for your landlord, and you, the renter, will benefit. So you still might want that cling wrap. I did it too, but I mean, get these things done. That's where we start. There are other things to do too, but
that we can talk about lots of other things to do, and I do want to touch on the question of renters, because I think that's probably a lot of us in this room. But Matt, I want to bring you in. The idea of we've heard from 2 firsthand experiences of personal, like a personal residential goal of retrofitting or doing some sort of energy efficiency in your home, and I'm curious if you've seen that reflected in your customer base. Is that something that, how many more people, individual residential folks are coming to your landlords versus, how has that arc of your customer base kind of changed? And because I'm curious about what that means in terms of how much interest there is in doing this type of work.
I think it's growing. Traditionally, the focus has been on energy and energy efficiency. And now, as kind of a next step within the sustainability efforts around construction, have been on product selection and healthier materials specifically. And so I think it is definitely growing and becoming more of a focus point, but it is at a very nascent stage, and I think there is an expectation that there has been more progress made in terms of the options that are available in the marketplace compared to what there really is. I mean, ultimately, boutique products from New Zealand are not going to be the solution. We need mass market products that are healthy, are low embodied carbon, and that's really where we're gonna see major successes.
How do we even define what a healthy material is? What are the parameters there? And that, and I'm curious how that comes into y'all's work too, of the idea of how are we even choosing this? What are my options? How am I choosing this? How do we define what is a healthy material?
There are definitely many levels to it. I think most people typically more think of for the health for the occupants. But there are, to expand the scope of it, there's health to the installers of the products, and there's also, very importantly, the health of the communities around the manufacturing plants where these products are made. So there are multiple scales at which to consider it, and then how do you implement that on a project can be challenging, and so the chemistry, because architects and contractors are not chemists. They're not going to dig into whether a product has PFAS on it or not. But there are standards out there. There are organizations such as a great resource is Habitable, is a nonprofit organization that has looked at different product types and helps make distinctions on better products versus worse products. And so if you Google Habitable, it's their informed program, and they have a very clear kind of green to red scale when you're looking at carpets or resilient flooring or paint and different options that are out there.
Mm-hmm. Kristen, when the city is considering that there are 64,000 buildings that need to be retrofitted, but the idea of, the thousands upon thousands of products and choices that Matt is talking about, how do you work that into policy? I'm particularly I'm thinking the Energy Saver program that was just announced. Okay. I know that's a huge question, but thinking about it from the perspective of the Energy Saver program that we talked about just briefly, Where do we even establish a baseline? But when we're looking at such a building stock that has such history to it and has so many kind of pushes and pulls.
So yeah, I think this is where something like our large energy retrofit pilot comes into play. With our energy retrofit pilot, we are working with affordable housing owners. They're retrofitting, I want to say 40 buildings with over 300 units. My math might be off. But it's in specific projects where these different things, different strategies can be tried out. One of the projects is Hano Homes, which is not far from here. It is in Alston. They are undergoing a retrofit right now. After the retrofit, this 124-year-old building will have reduced its energy and carbon by about 72% from existing. They're getting rid of all fossil fuels. The building will be fully electrified. It will be healthy. And here's where they're making a change. They're wrapping this building in continuous insulation that is made of wood fiber. So they're not using a foam, they're not using another material that might be more hazardous for the workers who are installing it or creating it. They're using a product that comes from trees. It's actually a waste product created in construction, and it's also high in embodied carbon. So we have one developer who's trying this strategy for this product, and it's delivering fantastic results. And so from this, other architects, developers, builders will learn and see. And this is an exciting story because there's actually a brand new factory that just opened its doors a few months ago in Maine that is creating this material. So that's an example of how the kind of pilots that we're working on in the city of Boston is helping to create case studies and examples that other can learn from. And of course, benefiting is the 20 families who live there.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, and to Matt's point, I mean, even the idea of not having insulation full of, fiberglass that's going to get into the lungs of the workers who make it, but, that all good things.
Flame retardants.
Oh, right,
Lots
exactly.
of flame.
Exactly. I'm curious, Matt, when you were kind of going through the process of trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to defy the grid, which you could do a defying gravity video, which would be really fun. Was there something that, as you were going through it, was there a stumbling block either from a policy perspective or something that you said, hey, this could be better? Like, what was something that jumped out to you as, I wish this had been different?
I don't know if it was present in 19 when I did it, right? But there's a great resource now. There's an organization called Rewiring America. Mm-hmm. Their website is rewiringamerica.org. And that will allow, they have like a Q&A where it'll ask you questions about your home and stuff like that, and prompt you to which measures are good for you and what incentives are available from federal, state, and local. And for me, though, it tied back to the work that I do for a living. So as I said, I work for Sea-Power Energy, and we build virtual power plants. So just to digress for a half a second, the grid maxes out 1% or 80 hours of the year where we consume the peak 10%, and that's where we push it to its little breaking point. Battery energy storage systems are now a critical piece of that grid stabilization strategy. And so in 2019, the Massachusetts SMART program just rolled out. They offered not only an incentive for the solar, but a storage adder, so there was an additional economic element there, followed on by the Utilities Connected Solutions program, which again pays to have that stored energy released back to the grid for grid balancing. All of those things made home storage the no-brainer. So we did solar and a battery, and then 1 year after installation, if you all remember, in August of 2020, there was a big storm, tropical storm Isaias, came through. It really devastated a lot of Connecticut. My block had a tree that came down, not a big deal, but 5 of the streets were knocked out. the utilities were all focused on Connecticut because there were thousands of homes out of power. And I coasted through a 36-hour interruption on nothing but sunlight and battery. And so that's the defying point of the grid. When, solar is a wonderful thing, but the only detractor of solar is if power goes out at night, it doesn't do anything for your house. And if the power goes out during the day, whether it's a weather-related event or someone hits the transformer on the block, by code, it has to be de-energized so that the line person that's trying to reestablish the utility distribution doesn't get electrocuted. The battery allows the home to act as an island. And that's where you can literally scoff at the world when you've got electrons in the tank.
When you can defy the grid.
Defy the grid.
I love that. But you're coming at this from a perspective of being a home owner. And Kristen, we touched a little bit on this, but I want to hit on the question of doing this type of work as a renter. Boston it's a majority renter city. I mean, I'm wondering, how do we even approach it from, is it just a matter of like convincing your landlord? Is it a matter of saying, hey, we can touch on 50 different products that could ultimately save you money? Like, how are we approaching this type of work from a renter's perspective, Kristen?
So I think there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah. We probably don't have time for it right now. But I would say if you are a renter or you're a building owner in Boston, go to boston.gov/retrofit hub. You will find a lot of resources there. So you should know as a renter, you can get a mass save assessment. They will come out to your home, they will generate a report, and you could share that report with your landlord. Depending on your building type, there might be things that are absolutely no cost that your landlord will say, okay, why not? I should just do this. There are new incentives coming out for small rental buildings from Mass Save this year that will allow landlords to tap into no or low cost heat pump install and insulation install. So I think that's a really great conversation that your landlord can improve your building and the value of their property at low or no cost with a few strings, but that will benefit you. And there are other things that you can get during that Mass Save assessment as a renter that you will benefit from. So I would make that the first step. Go to boston.gov/retrofit hub. It is a challenge. So that is what a renter can do.
Yeah.
I think there are bigger policy things that are happening, and I think that's some of the work that we're doing at the Mayor's Office of Housing and at our Environment Department in trying to kind of unleash these resources. And that is, I think there's a lot of things that will be coming. I think there are a lot of things that are happening this year too. I actually think this is a really exciting time for sustainability and clean energy in Massachusetts. And I know that's kind of counter to maybe some of the narrative. There's some bad things that are happening too. But Mass Save will be investing $4.5 billion over the next 3 years. City of Boston is now working closely with National Grid, Eversource, and community-based organizations to make sure that we're getting the word out to people who want to do this work. The thing that I think is really exciting this year that has come online is other resources, and this Matt mentioned one of them, Rewiring America. Working together with Rewiring America, I think just a week ago, the Massachusetts Energy Savings Finder was launched, and this is a refined way to find tax credits, rebates, incentives based on your household income and your location within Massachusetts. And you can find it at boston.gov retrofit hub, and some other places too. There is also launched last year the Massachusetts Community Climate Bank. Mm-hmm. And the Community Climate Bank is providing loans up to $100,000 over 20 years at 0.5% to 2%. Interest, which is really fantastic. They're also offering technical assistance to homeowners who really need that. So what I hear all the time is people want assistance, they want technical assistance, and they need financing. So I think that resource combined with the heat loan, combined with the enhanced Mass Save assessment, gives folks what they need. And I'm really excited with our Boston Energy Saver Boston Energy Saver program that will launch this fall.
Yeah. Lots to be interested in. I think that's about it for time. So if you will all join me in thanking our wonderful panelists today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Catherine.